Hello there. Now, I know a lot of you are going to click on a video like this because you just want to hear a cool car, and that's fine. So we're going to get to that first, but if you are, like myself, an owner of an XK, an XKR, whatever, then stick around because a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about is going to be relevant to the questions you probably have if you haven't already fitted a new exhaust. So stuff like, will it still pass an MOT? What's the most cost-effective one? Does it drone on the motorway? All these kind of questions. So first of all, I'll show you what it sounded like stock. And when I say stock, it did already have fuse 19 removed, which means that the valves are permanently open in the exhaust so you can hear it all the time. That is going to be cold start first, then a warm start, and then a cold start with the new exhaust, and then a warm start, and possibly a flyby or something like that. So that's the way the new system sounds versus the old one. I will say you cannot fully appreciate it on a GoPro, iPhone, whatever, unless you have like studio quality equipment with a boom mic. It just doesn't sound like real life. And that's one of the crucial improvements that I'm actually really happy with. I'm super happy with this change. I'm very glad that I did it. It is supremely cost effective. And to touch on that point, I paid £400 for this exhaust. And you'll have seen it at the unboxing portion of the video, which I'm probably even playing now. This new exhaust is a stainless system. It's unbranded, technically, because I bought it from a private seller. It was brand new, no warranty or anything, but it's pretty much identical to the Stage 1 Adamesh system. So it looks exactly the same as that. You don't have to go for Adamesh. There are loads of brands out there. I think Quicksilver might be one. You've got Spires, obviously. And if cost is no worry, I would recommend the Stage 3 Spires exhaust because it's just a monster. However, it's a pretty different sound to what I've got thanks to this system. This system does exactly what I was hoping it would do, which is keep the same essential sound, but just amplify it. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted that deep, modern-day muscle car burble, but louder, so I could actually hear more of my own car instead of everybody behind me hearing my car. And it actually had an unexpected improvement as well, which I wasn't even hoping for, but it's nice to have it. And that is that now that the muffler, or the I should say the back box is gone, you can actually hear that burble. It's not quite pops and crackles, but definitely a burble when you back off the throttle. That's something which you could not hear at all with the stock system, even with Fuse 19 removed. I didn't know that I would have that, but I'm glad that I do, because it actually really complements the car. And to put it into perspective, it reminds me very, very much of my time driving the Aston Martin Vanquish, the early 2000s Vanquish S, with that 6-litre V12. Obviously, the higher RPM stuff doesn't sound anything like that, but pottering around town at those kind of speeds, it really does bellow like the Vanquish. So that's awesome. So in terms of being cost effective, I would say that a muffler delete is pretty much the best option you've got, because it really is the best of both worlds. You get fantastic sound, it's really cost effective, but it doesn't affect your MOT, because you've still got your cats, you've still got the resonators, you just don't have the back box. So the volume isn't too excessive, for legal reasons, and it still doesn't affect emissions too much, at least from what I'm aware of. Now, to get to that other question, that crucial question, which a lot of older drivers in particular have, does an upgraded exhaust make it drone? Does it make the car resonate in the cabin too much at, for instance, highway speeds? I'm very happy to say, absolutely not. Now, I will say that comes with a caveat, and that is a good caveat in my opinion, because it drones under throttle. So when you put your foot down, not necessarily flooring it, but, just giving it a little bit of the beans up around 2000 RPM, say down 20, 30, 40 miles an hour, which is, let's be honest, where you really want to be showing off, it sounds fantastic, and it really does resonate. The best way to describe it is, imagine what it sounds like when your XKR is in a tunnel, but you're not in a tunnel. That's what it sounds like, and it's fantastic. However, that's actually with the windows open. If you close the windows, they do a fantastic job of deadening the sound, so it actually doesn't resonate through the car. If you put cruise control on at 30 miles an hour, 40, even 60 or 70 on the highway, it does not drone at all. It's fantastic. In fact, you can barely hear a difference from the stock one. So if you're worried or concerned about that, I'm happy to say you don't need to be. When you're cruising, for instance, long distance highway stuff, it does not drone at all. And I'm so happy about that, because even though I want the crazy sound, obviously I don't want a headache, and it's not going to give you that. Overall, I'm over the moon with it. I think it's a fantastic system. One thing which some people might not like is that it does, at least in the case of mine with the quad tips that I've got on there, it does protrude out the back more than the stock window, or does. But that's not really an issue in my opinion, because you could just always fit different tips. In terms of how easy or difficult it is to fit, in my case, I am a mechanic, but I don't have the facilities to, jack up the car and do it myself. So I had it done by the same mechanic who's done work on the car before. But because of the nature of the system, it does protrude a little bit more out the back. I could see some people not liking that. In my case, I like it because it kind of reminds me of the 5-litre. The 5-litre XKR does protrude a little bit more out the back, and I like that look. I think it looks cool on the car. But again, it's all down to you. You could choose different tips if you want to. I've got kind of the knurled edge ones with kind of a scored interior, which looks pretty nice in my opinion. Highly shiny at the moment because of how new they are. And yeah, I'm loving it. I've noticed a little bit of a drop in fuel economy, but it's hard to say if that's due to the exhaust or due to my driving because of the exhaust. And to be fair, it's probably me just backing off and rolling on the throttle unnecessarily just to hear the car that's kind of doing that, let's be honest. In terms of performance, there's not really any difference. Some people are worried about, back pressure and all that kind of stuff. I haven't really noticed a difference at all, to be honest. Ultimately, I think that an exhaust upgrade is one of the best things you can do to an XKR, because if you think of it this way, this is the way I describe it to people, every single performance car, and every single car for that matter, it does not get louder when you cut the back box off. That's a misconception. It's not getting louder, it's getting as loud as it's supposed to be. The whole point of the muffler is you're making it like 80, 70, 60% what it should sound like anyway. And of course, that's the purpose of the muffler. So you're basically just freeing up the car to sound like what it should sound like anyway. You're not technically enhancing it. You're just making it stock in a weird kind of sense. But yeah, ultimately, in the case of insurance, for me as a younger driver with an XKR, surprisingly to me, it actually made no difference whatsoever on my quote. which is kind of annoying because it means I just have to pay the £10 admin fee, which is a bit annoying to make the change that doesn't really matter. But of course, if you want to check out other things that I've done with the XKR, I've done the best and worst things about owning it. I've done, of course, reviews before I even bought one myself, which are funny to watch, in hindsight now that I have one. And I've even done rivals matches, should you buy the 4.2, should you buy the 5 litre, should you maybe even buy the 4-door XFR instead if you need the practicality. So check out all that stuff. There's lots of Jaguar content on the channel. And of course, until next time, I'll see you then. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.